will be a modern contemporary artwork. And I've started out by collecting images. This will also depict movement. It has movement through the artwork. It is a broken pen work, so that actually is something that predicts what sort of pen work it's going to be. I've also made larger copies in black and white of the same images, so that I've got larger and smaller images to work with. Now, this sort of work is very, very complex for something that I could sit and draw for maybe days, hours, whereas I've actually sat the image underneath here and actually put it onto the paper. And so that's allowed me to work out my point to view it with the larger rider, and the fact that they're coming into the picture and going back out. Not sure about the dog yet. He may not get in there, but I've actually put it onto tracing paper. I've also worked with a Sharpie. That's what the Linework's going to be. And also I have a Uniball Fine Eye waterproof. This one is waterproof when it's dry. So I'll make sure it's dry because it's going to have some areas of colour in behind it later, but I'll decide on that when I've actually finished the artwork. And I've also played with a couple of colours, but I'll decide that again. But I've just gone over the lines to make sure that they are waterproof, and to see how that sort of responds to the colours. It's around a dam, so basically the colours that I use also will depict the fact that it's round a dam. Now, to actually get this onto the paper, I'm using medium Arches A3 paper, and to actually get it onto the artwork, I've actually put it in place so that I can see what I've actually got. Then I'll take it off and turn it over, and I won't do it on my paper there because if I do that it will actually show. What I'll do is work on another sheet of paper on top of it, and that's the image. So sometimes people, I've seen even teachers do the wrong side. If I put front on it, I'll know that that's the front. And I have a graphite pencil. It's paper, glass, plastic, metal, and that will be put on the back. Now, I don't scribble on the back because of the fact that it gets black all over the place, but I start work, and I wouldn't start from the right hand side. I'd start from the left hand side so that the pencil isn't being rubbed by my hand as I'm actually doing it. I don't even have to hold it up the right way, but what I'm going to do is put the pencil on the actual line itself. Now, it seems tedious, but it's actually worthwhile. And sometimes I draw freehand, sometimes I don't. And so the lines that I get on here, I can see where I've actually put the pencil. That line will join up to that line, and the lines may even sort of change from down to that one, around and down. So already I'm sort of changing the look of it. I don't even really have to put that elbow on, but I will, because I've decided that I've got some things actually drawn and I've got big gaps of things that are not drawn. There's nothing of the motorbike motor. They do cross over, and basically I've allowed them to cross over in places to keep the movement of the artwork going. So I'll continue to do this and now that's really not got a good point on it, and what's happening is I'm missing the line because of that. So make sure that your pencil is sharp, but not to an incredibly sharp point, but sharper than what that is, because it's not even getting on the line. If you scribble on the back, you just make a mess on a watercolour artwork. Now that's better. I can actually hit the line. That's across the bars of the motorbike. So while I'm doing this, I can play around with it a little bit as well. I've also got a little tiny bit of rubber somewhere that I've actually made to just rub out very, very small pieces of work so that I can get the pencil in the right place. So that's rubbing out because the real line's on the other side of it. And so now I can come back around here and get the complete line that I'm looking for. Now some of this is just abstract work. It doesn't really show exactly what's there. And so it doesn't matter if I leave lines open. The more you actually leave off this, the more interesting the artwork will be. So I'll be just putting this on, and I'll come back when I've got that actually with the pencil on the back, and I'll start to show you how I get it onto the artwork and work from there. Now that the graphate's been put on the back of the artwork, it's time to turn it round. Turn it over to the correct side and tape it down so it fits perfectly on the sheet of paper, and that's taped down. I'll be now working, that needs to move over a bit just so that the last bike's on. It's off at the bottom of the page. I could take it off at the back, but that's not going to achieve a great deal. Still got the main person in the third. That could go over a bit further. The main section of where to view it's on the third. That's taped down, so it won't move. Enough tape so that it won't move around. Now you can use a pencil or you can use a biro. So depending on the area that you're working on, as normally I have a red biro so that I can see where I've been. Now I don't always do a line drawing, but I have previously done line drawings for portraits, and I find this is the best way to work. So I'll have a look by actually just making sure it's flat and start to just go over that line and see how much graphite gets onto the paper. So I can lift it up and check. And there's enough graphite there that I can then follow the drawing. And I won't put a lot on. I won't put it very dark. And I can see where I've been. The other option is to use a red biro. And the red biro will basically show you where you've actually been. So that will be a way that you can tell how much of the study you've put on there, and just start to actually get the line drawing on. Keep checking, making sure you can see what you've done, and then when I've finished, I'll keep lifting it and making sure before I take it off completely, and make sure that the lines are there ready to complete the artwork. A lot of the time I turn my work as well, so that if I was doing this wheel, I'd turn it that way because that's my wrist. If I was doing this one, I'd turn the sheet upside down so that it's on the turn of my wrist, so that that line there can be done on my wrist, but the line going back the other way is always better if it's turned and going around on the right direction. So I'll continue on to get the study onto the paper. Now that the line drawing's been added to the page, if I lift the page you can see the line drawing there quite clearly. But before I actually take it off, I'll lift certain sections of it and just keep putting it backwards and forwards and checking how much is on there, and if I've missed anything, if I need to go back and actually change anything and see exactly what's there. Now, the pens that I'm going to be using is the Sharpie for the larger pen work and the actual Uniball for the smaller work. And I'll point that out to you before I take this off, that this bike is going to be the main feature. And so the movement comes from the back, forward and back through. But this bike's in front and this bike's behind. So what I'll be doing is checking out the fact that this tyre is going over the top, which I have that happening, but I don't have the tyre over the top. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of the tyre there, a little bit of the tyre there, to make sure that that tyre looks continuous that didn't match up. It's got a bit of a hole in it. Rub that out and make sure that that tyre looks like it's going around at the right angle, and just make sure you can see it. So this bike will be completed in the finer pen, but the main bike will be finished in the larger pen. The same with this one here. This one will be in the smaller pen. The front one again will be in the larger pen. So we've got two there overlapping, and that gives you the flow through the artwork. There's a little bit of a break. When I finish, I'll be looking for 2/3 painted, 1/3 vacant, with a view that's got that round about the third is where I want that to be the most obvious place to view it, including line. And then I'll check out the negative space before I finish. And so I'll add some background to this. And these lines here, I've left them off, because if I tried to follow those with a pen, it would be impossible. So the better way to do it is to do it without the pen. I know it scares a lot of people, but it will be much better than trying to follow lines on there. Okay, so I've just checked it pretty much there, so I've got enough of the drawing on. I'll remove this, and as I said, I don't always do a line drawing, but in this case, in this artwork, I have, just to teach people that you can use a line drawing, and you can also use that for, sometimes I use it for portraits. Okay, so I'll start from the back and work forward. Now, starting from the back means that these two are in the back. This one is basically in the back, so that's where I'll start. So on the one up the top here, this little one, I'll start with the line drawing and start to get that done. Now, I won't go too far before I leave that one and come around to the next one, so that I show you parts of it. And parts of this is missing. And there's a reason for that, because it's not just a straight line drawing, it's a contemporary line drawing. And so parts of the person's missing, parts of the bike are missing. It's not just all there. And so if I miss anything there, it doesn't make a great deal of difference. It's all just there. This is the handlebars. They go out and around. I'm on medium paper, so I will get a little bit of a bobble in it because the paper's got a pattern to it too. And so that'll show slightly, but that's okay. That's what I've chosen. Could have done it on smooth paper, but I chose to have something a little bit different in the pen, in the actual pen work. Half the time I can't see what's there, so I'll just follow what I can see. When I get to these tyres, I'll actually turn it round and do them differently. The same with that. I'll turn that round and do it sideways. And I'm not sure I can get it on the desk sideways and you can still see it. Yes, you can. To do these lines across here, I'll do those with it on the side so that I can see what I'm doing. And the same with the tyres. I'll turn it again to do a tyre, because the shape of it is on my wrist that way. So I'll do that line that way and back this way. I can do a small line that way, but not a lot. So if I was going to do the other lines, I'd still turn it around, and so that will give me my wrist as well. The same with finishing that one off. And so now I've got the tyres to do. Some of them are straight lines. I'll stop and start so that they look like the rough tyres. And that's about as far as that line goes. There's no more to that. A couple of lines through there, the actual front of the bike, and just a few more lines. And then it's got the number on the bike, which is the number 13. Now, this pen is way too thick to do that, so I'll change down to the other pen to actually do some of the 13. Just got part of it there. So now you see the 13. All right, so then this bike and that bike will be next. So on this one, when I was saying that I do this with the smaller pen, again, the tie goes around this way. So while I've got the smaller pen, I'll do that. That'll go through there. I can stop and start there as well. Just got a pattern in it. Don't have to join it all up. Comes up around through here, up around, and it's missing. So I'm just going to join a little bit more to make it look like it's going around. The section there on the tire, you can see there's a couple of small sections in that of whatever I saw on the copy. Don't like it where it's got an end off that penning. So what I'm going to do is just make it look like it had a proper end. Then I'll turn it round to do the circle on the tire. So then that will be coming around this way. That's one part. I'll let it go right through that other one. Around. I'll stop because my wrist won't do that. Around again. And then I'll turn it back to get the rest of it so that the wrist is going in the right direction. And that would be round that way. That would be round that way. Okay, so then when this tire goes over the top and the guard, it goes over in the larger pen. So there's still more of it here that's behind. See if you can keep your line straight. Don't worry if the line stops before it gets where it's going. Don't worry about it. Just don't bother trying to get it to be all the way. If it stops, you stop too, because the lines have gaps in them and that won't hurt if you actually do the same thing. Actually, as this bike's going out of the picture, I might do the whole bike in the thinner pen, just so that there's a difference in the penning. So there'll be 1, 2, 3 dark and 1, 2, 3 in the dark. That will make them stand out. And then this one will be in the thinner pen. And if I don't like it, I can actually go over it later. So I can make some decisions after I've finished all the penning. It's a great idea to have the study beside you as you're actually working, because then you can check that you've got everything that you need at the same time as you're actually drawing. I can see a section there missing, and it goes to about there, up, and it has a V there. So I can see that that's missing. That comes around here and should go into there, up a little bit, the side of the person, and then just this creases in there as well. So that's something that I didn't see originally, but while I'm actually penning and looking at this at the same time, and basically I can enhance the drawing as I'm actually going. That makes a huge difference to your work. And so partly done on the freehand there, and then partly by following the actual line drawing and that I've got. That goes right up to the helmet. The helmet's missing a part of it there. Then it goes out from the shoulder. So it's a great idea to basically have that with you while you're actually doing the drawing. Just put some marks in it. You can add to it. You can just keep working. Now I've worked out here that I've got 1, 2, 3 in the thin pen, and I'll have 1, 2, 3 in the larger pen, so that I've balanced that out in threes so that it's not looking odd. I could do all these in small pen as well, and this one in the large. Just depends how much I want to focus on that. I can do more focus around here by colour later when I actually put the rest of the colour on it. So I'll continue on and finish the line drawing. So every artwork should tell a story. I've completed the lines in the background, and looking at it, that gives you an idea of this is an area that's going around. But I also want to actually just turn it around this way and get it to look like it's coming back again. So it looks like it's coming around and going back and then around again. So some I've done in the larger pen, some I've done in the smaller pen. This one here is going to continue on here and make it look like it's coming around and going back around this way again. So it'll come out, around, and back. So then it looks like it can come back into here. So I've done those freehand so that it looks like that's going to come back. I can actually add more to that and make it look like it comes back more by just adding another section to it. Meant to go to the edge of the page. And so now that's got the look of it going back around. And so that's the actual pen part of it finished. Balancing out line, direction. Your artwork should tell a story. And this is the story of kids on their bikes, the dog following along behind, and just enjoying riding bikes around. Next thing, we'll actually start to paint.